Hello, it is now October and time for yet another monthly pickups. Here I go and share what games I've gotten and gaming items I've gotten the past month. Of course, this will be for September. And then, of course, I go into a little background on each of them. This month was quite big again. I know I keep on saying I usually don't get more than, say, like 2 dozen games a month. This month is over 60, which is more or less a repeat of last month, or rather the month prior, which is August of this year. So without further ado, here we are. Here we go. Start out. There's one little thing here. This isn't a game per se. It is a fighter stick. This is the SG6, made by ASCII Ware. Pretty good deal on this one. I got for $6 this past weekend at a yard sale. If you can tell, it works with the Genesis, and most notably also, it will probably work, say, with the Master System, although way too many buttons for it, so it may not be quite conventional, if you will. But continuing on, recently I got this little guy here. This is Halo Anniversary Collection. I actually have beaten this game, my good friend Jeremy. So for $2, that was a pretty good deal. Speaking of which, $2. This is a complete in-box game for the Wii, Ninja Reflex. I have a pretty sizable Wii collection, about 50 games, but $2. I like ninjas. Why not? Continuing on. This game is Zone of the Enders for PS2. Me and Jeremy each got a copy. I got the one with just the disc in it. The main game disc does not have its manual, does not have the demo disc, but for $2, can't go wrong. I believe it came out about 2004-ish, somewhere around there. Continuing onward, we have some Atari stuff. This is the Video Touchpad. Ooh, big terminology. Quite honestly, this is essentially useful for, I believe, one game, Star Raiders, which I also got this month, which you'll see a little later. Got also paddles, finally, for the Atari 2600. There's only a few games that use these, but again, a friend of mine sold me some Atari stuff for a real good deal. So for those two, definitely had to be added to the collection. Moving on, we have a game guide. I believe it's the only one I got for this month. Correct me if I might correct myself later on. This is Call of Duty Ghosts game guide. I think I spent like $3 on this one. Not too bad. And look, here we are, Star Raiders for the Atari 2600 and Berserk. The Atari 2600 plus Space Invaders. The Atari 2600. In short, I got a lot of more Atari games this month. Very easy system to collect for. I highly recommend if anyone wants to get into Atari. I mean, they sold over, I believe, 40 or 50 million units of this console. The games are all pretty common. There are a few, such as Custer's Revenge, which are worth considerably more than $3, more like 50 or 60, if not $70. But here's another one. We got Burger Time, made by Data East, 1982. Came out for the Atari. Amidar. I misread this label when I went and bought it this past weekend. Spent $3 on it. I think it was Arkanoid is what I thought it was, but apparently it's like a Pac-Man game, so sure, that's cool. Why not? Can't go wrong with Frogger for the game. A couple bucks spent on that. Got Q-Bird right there. Another classic. We also got Demon Attack, made by Imagic. Different shaped cartridge, but pretty cool nonetheless. Some guy at a flea market wanted this for 10. I gave him 5, and it's worth, I believe, maybe 6. This is Superman. Superman was growing up my favorite superhero. Now Batman is, but Superman is good number 2. So another Superman game to the mix. Continuing onward, we have Hotel Dusk Room 215 for the DS. Got this for $2 this past weekend. It's worth about 8. It's more like a point-and-click adventure game, similar probably to Deja Vu for the NES, Shadowgate, stuff like that. Moving on, this is Heroes of Might and Magic. Not to be confused with Warriors of Might and Magic for the Game Boy Color, which I alrealready had. Heroes of Might and Magic is made by 3DO, came out about the year 2000. Moving on, we have a limited run games release. This is N++. I believe less than 5,000 copies of this game were made, and it took days for it to sell out, so it's probably not going to be worth that much money, which is a good thing, because I don't intend to sell. I do have M Plus on the PSP, so this was released as a digital game, I believe, in 2014. pretty cool that I got a physical release. I don't collect digital. Every digital game I have, I essentially got for free. So, continuing onward, Cruis'n World. This here is a game that is on my list, and some lady last weekend was in front of me, essentially had a pile of games trying to haggle with the guy who wouldn't go lower than $80 for a bunch of cheap games. Luckily, this is one of the ones she put back. I've been looking for this one for at least 6-7 years. So the only one I need left to get of the Cruis'n series for N64 is Cruis'n Exotica. Moving onward here. More Atari games. These are games I got from a good friend, from Jake, a moderator on Console Purist. Here's Popeye. There's some good things about it. The game's in mediocre condition label-wise, but hey, it works. That's what matters. Continue on. I mean, these games are like 40 years old almost. Some of them more like 35. This here is Mega Mania by Activision. Came out like 82. Fun little title. Continuing on, we have Spider Fighter, also an Activision title. These games off of, again, Jake Allen. Did a good job sending me these. Just for recharging me, shipping. I threw in a few extra bucks. Very appreciated. This is Missile Command 3D. We got Astro Warrior right there. And well, this is Great Soccer, which is actually the game I got for the Master System last month that I might mention, but now you see it. So this game does not count as a game for this month. But hey, you know, it was in the box. So I guess I could show it off this one more time. Moving on, this is also from Jake. War in the World is Carmen Sandiego. Wasn't on my list, but heck, why not? I need to build my Master System library. I only got one last month. Continuing onward, this is a game that unfortunately has seen better days, but I got it for less than $4 and it's worth over $15. This is Star Soldier, Vanishing Earth. It's the only vertical shooter, space shooter really, on the Nintendo 64. The PlayStation had a load of them. It's the only game on the N64 that could be considered to be a shump. And I do like shumps, so I had to get that one. Maybe down the road I'll find one with a better label. For now, that will do. Next is a game that has a funny story behind it, or interesting story at least. This is Reactor. 2003, I would take the city bus to go to college. This game was mentioned repeatedly by a man who I was on the bus with. Always stuck in my head. I knew I had to get it. I saw some screenshots of it, looked at some videos, looked pretty cool. Got it this past weekend for $2, which is conveniently almost what it's worth. I believe it's like $1.92 or something. Moving onward, some PSP titles that are very welcome, since my PSP collection is again lacking a bit. We got Final Fantasy, we got Lord of Arcana. Both these games are Square Enix titles. You can't go wrong, at least with some of these Square Enix titles, really, particularly before 2010, of which both of these are. Final Fantasy is always a great game. Moving onward, there was a big sale, huge sale that had occurred at a little store, little secondhand shop, so I got a bunch of stuff at discounted prices. This here is How to Win at Nintendo. I have 2 and 3, but now finally, this is the original books, and I have all 3. Got that for, I believe, like $1 or so. Continuing onward, my wife decided to surprise me. This here is the box, Donkey Kong 64, that a good friend gave me. This here is the manual that my wife just got me, so now this game will be complete for Nintendo 64. This will be my only 5th complete N64 game. Definitely need to work on that. This here is the manual for Jeopardy for NES. Game is very subpar. My wife got me that one too. So that makes, I believe, now 12 complete in-box NES games for the collection. Speaking of boxes and such, here, it's a game that is not in the case, but heck, I got a real good deal for it. This is just the case and manual for Blaster Master 2 for the Genesis. The game is worth over $80 complete. If I wanted, $2 for it. $2 for the case and manual. For a $35 game to make it complete, make it worth double that, no problem. Good deal. Continuing onward, we have Tenchu Fatal Shadows, which has seen way better days in terms of the stickers over this case. Got it for like $3. Pretty cool game. I've always been a bit of a fan of the Tenchu series. I haven't played too much of some of them after the first one, but very excited to get that one. Next here is Taito Legends, an arcade compilation game. Also got this for $3 at a flea market that's relatively close to my house. And another flea market, for $2 I got F-22 Interceptor, one of the most common, save for the Sonic games, Genesis titles you can find with its box and manual and such. It's probably makes, oh gosh, maybe my like 16th complete Genesis title. So, that guy there. That same flea market I went to, this was a little further away. Got excited because I thought this was the N64 Game Shark, but no. This is the Dreamcast Game Shark. I got it for $10, complete and near mint condition. I think the VHS tape in it has cracked, but who uses VHS anymore? Am I right? You know, everything's DVD. Continuing onward. Tornado Devil Video Game Arena's Game of the Month. Here is Raiden Project. Includes Raiden 1 and 2. I got this game originally 3 months ago. The person never shipped. The first time in my eBay history that a person essentially blamed me for shipping to the wrong place. A whole rigmarole. I've had over 400 items sent to my house. Long story short, it's the first time I left negative feedback in over 8 years. I managed to get this game for $60 after a bidding war erupted on the one that I was bidding on, in which I maxed out at $60. And it went for $101 because, well, let's put it this way, people get too wrapped up in wars. So while somebody else paid $41 more than I did for a game that was given a lot less description, you know, I'm very happy for just the $60 I spent on it. Not too bad at all. Continuing on. Here we have a classic Wiimote. And by that, I mean 2 of them. And the great thing about these is the fact that I only spent $5 a pop for them and then realized after the fact they're worth more like $15 each. Not sure how they flew up in price, but hey, at least I got them finally. I've always wanted a couple of those, just for the heck of it. Continuing on. This is the whopping $1 expenditure for a great N64 expansion cover I got from China over a month ago. It took 3.5 weeks to get here. Moving on. Another manual that my wife surprised me with. This is the Rad Racer manual. This completes this game for me for the NES. Used to have it complete years ago. I was foolish and threw many of those boxes away. Not quite done yet, of course. Here we got a PS2 game, Ark the Lad. This is the 5th installment that hit the United States. Twilight of the Spirits is a $5 title. I spent $2 on it. Game that was on my list. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. I had gotten the Xbox version that is not backwards compatible with the 360 a month prior. So I'm looking to part with that one. But I'm very happy I got this one. This game was on my list. Heard a lot of great things about it. So next is Champions of Norath, which is probably more recognized on the PC. Pretty cool game from what I heard, so I'm adding it to the collection. Moving on, we have Max Payne 3. This is a game that I had highlighted in Console Purist as one of the franchises that, of course, I had some installments of the games of. I have not played it yet. I only played it a little bit, Max Payne, the original, back in 2004, 2005. Only spent a few bucks on it. Not too bad. Those are both discs. Pretty cool. Moving on, we have Duke Nukem Forever. This is the first Duke Nukem game I have purchased, even though I do want to get the N64 versions. I heard this game was rather disappointing. But hey, you know, it's Duke Nukem. You can't go wrong with Duke Nukem, right? Moving on, we have End War. Tom Clancy's End War, to be exact. This is a lot like a strategy game modeled after Advance Wars. Because I've been reading Tom Clancy novels and such, I gotten into some of his games. They're pretty cheap. This will won a couple of awards for Strategy Game of the Year. I haven't played it yet, but I will. I definitely will one day. Moving on, we have F-Zero GP Legend for the GBA. Have not really had much luck finding GBA titles lately. This one was on the list, so I'm pretty happy to find that one. Next is Yoshi's Cookie, a regular Game Boy title. Spent only $1.50, $2 on that one. This here's Uniracers, which apparently has jumped to $10. But hey, finally, every time I'm looking for Zoop, it reminds you of getting Uniracers, which you can't find locally. Finally, got it. Another game off the list. Moving onwards. Good old friend Jake Allen. Like I told you, he shipped me a bunch of games. Pretty much just pay for the shipping. It's the one Sega Master System he shipped me that was complete. This is Double Dragon, which I have played, and oh my gosh, it is completely horrible play control-wise. But, you know, I always want to play Double Dragon, so now I have. Probably should play the NES version too, which I do not own. Next is a game that I went and sold back in the day in better condition than this one. Complete in box. After I had gotten in a lot. I think I spent $120 for 9 complete in box games, and this is one I sold for $50. This is Phantasy Star. This game has flew up in price, easily at least $80. I got this one for $78. Manual has seen a little bit better days, but a heck of a lot better than a lot of the manuals I saw online. So, case is in good shape, game's in great shape. Very excited to add this one to my collection. It's one of my priorities for the Master System. Speaking of priorities, another game that's very hard to come by, Ghouls and Ghosts for the Sega Master System. It does not include its manual, but people, let's just go and say they're rip-offs. Okay, $150, $120 they want this game for with its manual. Spent $75, actually $80 for it without its manual. The manual can be worth 20 some odd dollars, but come on, it's not worth like 50, unless it's like Hagan, EVO, Panzer Dragoon. They may be worth maybe more like 75. But you get the picture. Anyway, nowhere near done yet. Here we have a nice little game here. Like I said, a game store local to me. Second-hand store for the first time in 4 years had a sale. Sale was 15% off stuff in cases, and everything else was essentially take 60% off. So here's Rampage NES. I just beat this game about a week and a half ago, so pretty awesome. So here's just a case and manual that I got for roughly $5 for Street Fighter II Championship Edition for Sega Genesis. The game is in there. I did save the game, of course. The most awesome fighting game for the Genesis if you have a 6-button controller. It makes the Genesis shine. It's absolutely incredible. I do love that version more than the Super Nintendo version of Turbo. So here is Metroid Prime Trilogy. This game goes for over $60. I got it for a little bit over $47. Aside from a small ding, which you might be able to see here, lighting's really weak, but the game is in great shape, mint condition. Otherwise, you know, it's a metal case. What do you expect? So that's pretty awesome. Here we have Solar Fox, another Atari game, cheap Atari game. Like I said, they are so easy to go and add to your collection. Here we have Super Breakout, another very common game, another easy game to go and get. Next, Dig Dug, another like $5-6 title, not too bad. Here we have Breakout, which I believe is one of the launch titles for the Atari in September 11th, 1977. Next, $30 game, Montezuma's Revenge. Pretty uncommon. I believe it came out in '84, so this is essentially in the midst of the gaming crash. That's why it didn't sell nearly as well as other games had. Next, Space Attack. Very good game for the Atari. You can forget Gar's Revenge. Another cheap and good game for the Atari. Vampire Knight, compatible with the Gun-Con 2. This game can use a control, however, which is awesome, and it's classic Sega Namco shooting. Very fun game. Sonic Heroes CIB for GameCube. Pretty cool title. Came out about 2003, I believe, 2004. Next is Obscure the Aftermath, a sequel to Obscure, which I got 3 months ago. This game complete is worth about $15, which is what I got it for. The original is worth about $60, $65 for PS2. Without its manual is Thunderblade for the Sega Master System. I do need to get the manual, but hey, for like $4. I have Super Thunderblade complete, and now I just need the manual for that one to make Thunderblade complete. Next, Atari 2600 game, Phoenix. Pretty cool title. A bunch of other things here. We got Bram Stoker's Dracula for Genesis. I spent like $2 on this one. Pretty bad game. I love the movie though, so sure. I already have it on Super Nintendo and Sega CD, so. This here is Pitfall, Atari 2600 game. Again, you can't go wrong with games like that. Spent a little less than $14 on this. This is Dr. Mario 64. Great title. Actually had it and sold it for $10 about 2 years ago. Not out of my collection though. I decided years later that I put it in there. Here is Area 51, PlayStation 1 title. Heard a lot of good things about it. Speaking of which, Bushido Blade, a game that off and on for over a year and a half I have heard about. Probably more, actually more like 3 or 4 years. So it's about time I add that one to the collection. Other than that, I mean, not too much here. I did get the Elder Scrolls 4 Shivering Isles, so yes, I did have another game guide. There you are. This is just the guide for the expansion to Oblivion. It's a guide for all versions, PC, console. Got a couple guides, or rather manuals, Turok 2, Blast Corps. We got F-Zero X, Air Fortress. I think I have this one though, but you know what? No big game, it's like $1. So. And then of course, over half a dozen Super Nintendo Game Boy cases. You can never go wrong with those. You gotta keep your gear protected. Last but not least, game related but not a video game and by any means or an accessory. This here, $10 purchase at a secondhand store. And if you think you don't know what it is, well, I'll tell you. It's here. It's a lovely little cassette holder. I'm trying to angle it for you so you can see. Even though it's pretty dark. Essentially, it holds 80 cassettes, or in my case, it will hold Master System and Sega Genesis cartridges and all that fun stuff. So, without further ado, that is it. That is all. That is all of September. So feel free to share what you got, and I'll catch you later.